graders and sixth graders. Today I'm going to read you a story. Next class we're going to see more idioms and maybe a little bit of structure. So today is a story. Today I'm going to read you a story that the name is, This is the Place for Me. That's the name of the title. Like when I lived in the United States and then I came to Costa Rica, and then now I say, this is the place for me. I love Costa Rica, I love the United States, but this is the place for me, Costa Rica. So I'm going to read and say, Walter, a 12-year-old boy, was listening to rock and roll music. "Turn off that garbage," said his father. He shouted to him and said, "Turn it off. I don't like rock and roll music from the United States." Walter turned off the music. Walter and his family lived in Chicago. And Chicago is called the Windy City. It's beautiful. In Chicago, Illinois. Chicago is the city and Illinois is the state. But they were from Ukraine. Ukraine is near Poland. It's beautiful. It's in Europe. Walter's father wasn't happy in Chicago. He didn't like American rock and roll. He didn't like his job. He didn't like the weather. He didn't like the food or water in the United States. Coming to the United States was a big mistake, said the father. "We're going back home to Ukraine," said the father. Walter didn't want to leave Chicago. He wanted to stay in his school and live, and he liked American sports. He liked American food, especially Jell-O. Walter was happy in the United States. His 18-year-old sister, Natalie, was happy too. She loved the United States. She preferred to stay in the United States and not in Ukraine. Walter and Natalie packed their clothes and went to live with a cousin. So they said, "We are not going back to Ukraine. We're going to stay in Chicago and live with a cousin." Walter's parents said, "Natalie is 18 years old, like of age, mayor de edad." Supposedly, United States of age is 21, but they say she's 18 and she can stay in the United States. But Walter is only 12. So the father and mother said he has to come with us. He has to return to Ukraine, and we want our son to go with us because he's 12. He's very young. They told the police that they wanted Walter to go back with him. They called the U.S. immigration and told them that Walter had to go back to Ukraine with them. Walter's parents went back to Ukraine without Walter and Natalie because in the end the immigration said, okay, he doesn't want to go, he can stay if he wants, and Walter stayed in the United States. So Walter hired a lawyer and he stayed in the United States with his sister. And when he was an adult, so he could live so now he's an adult and he could live in wherever he wants. He stayed in the United States. Walter is in his late 20s now, so he's almost 30 years old. He still lives in Chicago, so he decided to stay in Chicago. And his parents are still in Ukraine. The parents didn't like the United States, they preferred Ukraine. That is a beautiful country. Walter says he misses his parents. He says, "I miss my dad, I miss my mom," but he is not sorry. He stayed in United States. "I couldn't go back to Ukraine," he said. "I couldn't just go back." He says, "In my heart, I always knew that this was the place for me." Chicago, Illinois, United States. I hope you like this story and see you next time. See you guys. Have a nice rest of the week. Love you guys.